Hi there everybody, it's Charity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me today for the card making video. Today's card is for the Inspire Create Challenge design team. We are casing one of our design team members today, so this is based on a card by Karen, and she has made what I call them Z-fold cards that have this sort of Z look to them, funnily enough. Okay, so and hers was, you know, very pink with lots of paper and things on it. So I've taken the fold and I've taken the colour pink and run with that to create something of my own. Now, of course, you can see the original card and all the other design team interpretations of this card over on the blog, which will be linked in the description. So, like I say, this is a Z-fold card, and the stamp sets that I've used to decorate mine are the translucent florals. Okay, so it's the first time I've used this on camera. I've used it a couple of times off camera. And then I'm bringing back in Medley Mix, which I was using last week. And we're going to be creating a background with this stamp here. Okay, I'm also going to use the sentiments from this set too. Okay, to add out all our little sentiment strips, and obviously the coordinating dies for the translucent florals as well. Okay, so fancy folds aren't usually my thing. Okay, but like I say, I have made these before in the past, so I kind of had an idea of where I wanted to go with it. I had a little bit of a stamping boo-boo up there, but I'm just going to quickly show you my quick method of making Z-folds. I suspect that other people have different ways of doing it, but I'll show you how I've achieved it, and then we'll show you how I decorated it. Okay, so we'll pop that to one side for now, and I'm going to bring in a full sheet of the thick basic white to create the card base from. So I always use my thick basic white for card bases. And what I would normally do is cut that in half lengthways to make my 4 1/8 card, but I'm not going to do that first this time. I'm just going to do the scoring first. So I'm trying to get that so that the glare isn't going to be too bad on that reflective surface, so you can just sort of see that. So normally I'm going to score at 5 7/8 of an inch, which is exactly what I'm going to do again, because I still want a card that's a sort of a half fold. That is still a half fold, and then we're going to fold it back. So I still want that 5 7/8 of an inch that I would normally do. Okay, so up and down a few times on the score blade there. But we also need to put in another score line halfway across the front to do the fold back. Okay, now you can flip it over if you want, because that's the way the fold will work, but you don't have to. So now we want to score this at about half of what we've just done. So if you imagine it's 6 and we've got to take off an 1/8. Okay, so it will be 3 would be half of the 6 inches, and then another 1/16 of an inch, which is just one little marker to the right of that mark, will be half of the 1/8, if you know what I mean. So that's going to give us approximately halfway. Okay, again, up and down a couple of times on that. Now I'm going to turn it round, and I'm going to cut my card base width, which is 4 1/8 of an inch, which is there. Okay, so I've still got my half fold. That's just my normal card base, but I've also got a score line here to fold that back. Okay, so now we need to create the bit that goes in the middle to create that sort of that Z in the middle. Okay, so if we imagine that we've got exactly the same scenario here. We're going to fold it back. So this is an absolute carbon copy, apart from it's just slightly wider because we haven't trimmed it down yet. So we've got two mirrored cards here. Long back with a short front. Long back with a short front. Let's remember which way is which now. Okay. So now if I rotate this round, sorry, let's start that again so it makes it clear. If you flip that around like that, so that the long side is at the front, these guys fit together to create the Z. Hope you saw that. Did I do that on camera or not? Just move that out of the way. I wasn't paying enough attention to what I was doing on the thing. We've just made two identical card bases with a fold back design. Fold back front. Okay. Like that. And if you flip that, rotate it is what you've got to do. Rotate it around so that is at the front. You have two identical pieces of card that fit together like so. Alright, and they will fold flat as well. Now, what we don't want is the full width of the card. We want the shape at the front here, so we need to make this narrower. So I'm going to cut this down so it's an inch narrower than the card base. So we're going to put this down to 3 1/8 of an inch, which is here. So you'll have this little bit that's left over. People do sometimes make the folds, you know, and have these sort of skinny bits at the bottom or the top or whatever, so you can do that as well. Okay, but obviously we can use that for sentiments and all sorts of things, so we'll keep that to one side. So now our skinny bit looks like this, but it's going to obviously go all the way to the edge of the card. Okay, so I want to trim this front panel and trim down this back panel slightly, and I'm just going to take off 1/2 inch off both of those at the back and at the front. Okay, put that to one side for now and just check all that. Front, big panel at the front, little panel at the back. Squash it all down, and hopefully we end up with something that's got even borders to the left and to the right, and to top and bottom, like so. Okay, so I'm just going to burnish all of those folds really well now, because it's difficult to do once it's all constructed. So just make sure all of those are really nicely scored and burnished, like so. It'll sit a little flatter. Same with this one. With any card base, if you have nice crisp folds, it all folds about much more easily. Okay, so that's that. So this is the panel that we're going to do all our layering on. Now, I did make a little bit of a mistake there and scored it whilst it was all folded, and that's made a little bit of a wrinkle in there, but we're going to cover it up, so hopefully that won't be too bad. Now I'm changing the colour of this somewhat, and I have some bits of Starry Sky that may or may not fit. So that one seems to fit. That one's a bit long, so we'll just trim that one down. That probably just needs half an inch off it because that'll be the same as the other one. So the strip is, the white strip is 3 1/8, so these are 3 inches wide, and then I'm just adjusting the little sections to fit on top of there. So I need another piece of Starry Sky. That one's not long enough. Let's just grab some from my stash there. So that was half an inch smaller than a normal card. So 5 7/8. Sorry, half an inch, wasn't it? So it's going to go to 5 1/8 of an inch, and then take off an 1/8, because it's 5. So that should be right. Let's just check that before we cut down the width. Oh no, still. Oh no, that's okay. It's going to be a bigger border, but that's fine. By 3. Let's see how that looks. That's what you get when you don't measure things. Measuring's overrated. Okay. I think I'd still like that to be a bit longer. Why isn't that the right? Let me just quickly measure that. So yeah, it needs to be 5 1/4, not 5. 5 1/4. By 3. That's it. And we're going to have to cut some white bits to go on those as well. So I'm just going to move these scraps out of the way so that I know what I'm using and what I'm not using. So the card base is reasonably straightforward to make, and then it's just a case of cutting your layers and getting them right. So there we go. So those are all okay. And then I've got some scraps here. Some of them I can save and some of them I won't. So we'll pop those to one side out of the way. And we will need some regular basic white to cut our panels to go on top of that. So Starry Sky was 3 inches, so we'll cut this at 2 7/8. That larger panel was 5 1/4, so we'll take that to 5 1/8. And that should fit nicely onto there. Beautiful, nice even border. And then I just want to check the widths of these. Yep, so this one needs to be, this is actually 2 inches and 13/16, believe it or not, which makes it this, that mark there, just going across 2 marks, which makes that'd be 8/16, 9, 10, 11/16. So that's a bit of a rubbish number, but in terms of remembering everything, but it is the way we've scored it. If you want to make your life easier, if you score at regular intervals, it will make all these measurements a lot more straightforward. So maybe just do it at like 2 1/2 or something, rather than, or 2 3/4, rather than cutting it down to that 16th. Okay, so this one actually is a little over 2 1/4. That'd be 5/16, so 1 2/16 across from there is there. And then we've got this one. Yep. So all those fit onto those Starry Sky panels. So we can pop the base and those panels to one side for now until we're ready to construct the rest of the card when we've done all our stamping. Okay, so we're going to need something to stamp on. So I'm just going to bring in this grid paper and we can start doing a bit of that as well. So we're going to build up a background with this sort of, I don't know, like a honeycomby kind of stamp. So we're going to be using Starry Sky layers, but I wanted to have like a light and a mid-tone blue to sort of work with those for the background. So I'm going to bring in Blueberry Bushel and Tahitian Tide. I'm going to start with the lightest colour, which is Tahitian Tide. It's one of the in colours. I'm going to just light tapping on the ink pad will coat that stamp beautifully with ink. Okay, and I'm going to roughly line it up on the grid paper as well, just so that we've got an idea of how straight it's going to be, and we're going to position our first stamp somewhere up here in the corner. How far you come in and all that is entirely up to you. We're just going to build up the background, and obviously this stamp works by and it'll sort of interlock with each other. So if you sort of hover over the top, you'll be able to sort of make the pattern fit together, or near enough anyway. We will be adding some of the Blueberry Bushel in and around the place. So I'm not going all the way to the bottom edge because I'm going to put the other colour in. Some of it's going to overlap a little bit, but that's going to be fine too. So that's my beginnings of the background for that panel. So we'll do all the Tahitian Tide parts first. So same with this one, just sort of line it up, get it started. I'm not coming this far on this one because it's a smaller panel. Again, some light tapping. Maybe bring this one, yeah, this way. Just joining up that pattern in the middle there. Okay, and then this one is skinnier still. So maybe we go a little bit further up on this one. Something like that. And something like that. Okay, give that a wipe off quickly on my chamois that's just there, and we'll bring in the Blueberry Bushel, which is a really nice bright mid blue. I say bright, I think it's in the Regal family. Just making sure that that's inked well enough. Sometimes find that the ink pads aren't absolutely flat, so when you press, the ink doesn't quite coat it. So we're going to interlock this into the rest of the design. If it overlaps a bit, that's fine too, but I think we're going to go somewhere around there. The lining up might not be quite as accurate as I'd like it to be, just because normally I'd have my head right over the top of this, but you guys are watching, which means the camera tripod is in the way. So I'm just trying to line that up as best I can. You of course will have much more time to have a look over the top of that and stamp that. So there's no particular rhyme or reason as to where I'm placing this. I just want to fill the background towards that bottom right corner in particular. Let's see, so this one's going to overlap a little bit, so that's fine. I'm going to put that one there. Just press firmly in the middle there. And again, we'll pop a little bit on this side as well. It doesn't matter if it overlaps. You'll kind of get an almost you know, an interesting hybrid colour where the two overlap, so that's roughly right. Okay. And then we'll do this one. Which is really cool. It's a really interesting stamp to work with. I'm going to put a little bit more there on the left, just to continue that across. And I missed a bit there, but that one's on the front, which means it stands a chance it's going to get covered up anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. Sort of framing it a little bit. So I want a little bit more on this left hand side, just to finish framing that off. I might just use that corner there. Just to add a little more to this side as well. Okay. It just gives us a really sort of funky background. Just take off some of that excess ink before then chamoising that off, so we don't dirty the chamois excessively. So just giving that a good wipe. And those are our panels, which we can actually get layered up. So we'll bring in our Starry Sky cardstock here, and we can get these stuck down. So I'm going to use seal for this bit. Okay. It's nice and easy, just some simple matting and layering. And then these panels can go onto the white Z fold as well. Okay, so we'll just pop some tape onto the back of those. Like so. I'm bringing our white panel. So all of these will be visible on the same side as we open the card, so we can pop that in. Oops, she says. Like so. And we'll have this one. Kind of nice to eyeball the panel next door to it so that it looks level as well. So when it's open, it looks nice and neat. Same with this one. Just want to try and eyeball that a little bit. There we go. It's beautiful. So this is going to go onto our card base. So what I do is I secure the front panel first where I want it. Okay, and on this occasion wet glue is going to be your best friend. Okay, so once you've got it into the position you want it to be in, we can open that out and we can pop some glue onto just the end of that panel there. We don't want it going too far across because we want the card to open. Okay. So that wet glue is going to give us time to make sure we've got that positioned where we want it to be. So we've got it even on the left and the right, and top and bottom. Down a little bit. Okay, so once you're happy the front's in place, you can open that up. And we can just fold it flat and add our glue to this panel. So using wet glue because it is stronger, and this is you know, a kinetic card that's going to be sort of manipulated because everyone's going to want to fold it. Okay, and unfold it. I'll give that a bit of a press. Okay, and then that's the basis of our card. Okay, so these aren't, fancy folds aren't my strong point, so it probably looked a little clumsy when I was making it, but there we go, we've got the basis of it anyway. Alright, so for decoration we're going to use our inks again to create our embellishments. Just going to bring in some cardstock, and I'm actually going to bring in a green on this one. My sample I did all monochromatic, but I thought it would be nice to bring in the green on this one. So this is translucent florals. This is a distinctive red rubber stamp, so you want to make sure it's inked really nicely when you're ready to use this. And nice firm pressure on there, and we get this beautiful look to these stamps, which does make them look like they're sort of you know, translucent leaves and petals that are overlapping each other. Aren't they stunning? So that's Granny Apple Green I've used for that. Okay, and then I'm going to use Tahitian Tide for the smaller bloom. Again, look how beautiful that looks. Okay, and then we've got Blueberry Bushel for our larger flowers. So again, just light tapping, and it's sort of, you can see it's inked. Okay, and then we can pop one of those on there. And there are coordinating dies for all of these images, which we can use to die cut all of those out. So they're really nice and easy to line up. Just popping those away. Okay, so we can line all those dies up onto those images really nice and easily. That's the one for the leaves. the small flower here. Okay, and we're going to get a whole bunch of those die cut out, which I have already done, just to save some time. So we have the small blooms, the medium blooms, and some leaves. Okay, so we can start popping these together. So just going to use some tape for these bits. So these can overlap a little bit on the top because it's actually wider than the card. Okay, your card should sit quite flat to open out and decorate into the middle there. So you can make that fill that card front and overlap that panel. It won't affect the way it stands up or anything like that. And I've got two other sets here which I'm going to trim down a little bit. So I'm just going to trim down the stem a little bit and have this one coming up there a little. Again, it doesn't matter if it overhangs the top, as long as it doesn't interfere with the folds in the card here, you're good to go. So this one's not stamped as well, but that's fine. We'll just, again, we'll lop off that stem, which means we'll be able to fit it into the space where we want it to be. And again, this one's on the flat here, so this one can go and overhang that panel really, really nicely. We've got one large bloom for each panel, and then we've got one for the smaller ones and two of these ones for the main panel. Okay, so we can decide how we want these to look. I think I might do that so that the lighter blue doesn't get lost on there. So these ones are going to go flat because it's all sort of underneath the mechanism of the card, so we don't want like loads of dimensionals and things to interfere with the closure of the card. So again, it can overhang a little bit, and we can pop these in like so, all sort of ties together. Same with this one, we'll kind of go there, and kind of go there. Sort of similar but not the same, hopefully. Okay, and I don't mind if it overhangs there like that. I think once it's open and stuff, it's not going to matter. Okay. Sorry, might have missed a bit of me prepping these to go on the card, but just been decorating that up with these panels here. And then we can use some dimensionals for this one because it's not going to interfere with the way it opens and closes because it's on the front. But we don't want it to stick, we don't want anything to stick beyond this bit so that we don't accidentally seal it shut, so just being mindful of where those dimensionals are. Let's just, and you can just sort of check that that's not going to catch. Yep, that's fine. Okay, so there's our sort of floral elements already on there. Okay, and then we just need to do some of our sentiments. So I've got some little bits of the Starry Sky left over here, and we had some little skinny strips left over from when we were cutting down all the little panels and things. So Starry Sky is going to come back out to coordinate all of that, and I'm going to use the two sentiments. I've got congratulations and you're the best. Okay, so both of those will just get stamped onto these little strips, and that's not super straight, but it's fine. Oops daisy, things getting in the getting all over the place. Let's see how that one comes out. So that one's come out nice and straight. Let's see if we can get this one a little bit straighter, shall we? It's a bit high on the left. So let's see if we can do a little bit of a better job. The second time round. Yeah, it's a bit better. Just going to use my picker punch, banners punch, to trim out off the ends there. You can cut it by hand, but you know, there's a gizmo that will do it for me, so I'm going to use the gizmo that will do it for me. So those are approximately 1/2 inch, because that's what we cut off the little panels, and I know that these are approximately 3/4 inch, so they're going to layer together with those sentiments beautifully. So I'm just going to pop those in like so, get them trimmed off. And again, we'll bring in the seal, and we'll just get these layered up. And of course, far too long right now, so we'll just snip those off. And they're going to tuck in behind other things, so we'll just take off those like so. So we're going to have congratulations come in on this side and tuck it in somewhere where it will fit, which appears to be just there. Try and get it something like straight, and then we might want to cut a little bit more off this one, so let's just take off that. Tuck this in. It is a bit long. Can you hear the cogs turning in my head? It's just a teensy bit too long, which is kind of annoying. I don't really want to cover up all my other bits of flowers and things like that, but so what I'm going to have to do is make sure that's straight. So I'm just going to grab my trimmer trim that down as close as it will go to that lettering. Sort of line it up with the border of that roughly, so that looks, oh no, that'll be too long as well, so we'll just shuffle it along as far as it needs to go to fit. That's what we're going to do. Okay, I did kind of I didn't actually sample how big those sentiments were off camera because I used something different on the original card, so that was my bad for making that not look as good as it should really. Okay, but the mechanism is working really nicely on that one. We could bling it up and all that kind of stuff, so we can do that at your leisure. Okay, this is the original one. Okay, which I just did with, you know, all the same stamps and stuff. Put some blingy things on there. More of a monochromatic look, mixing up the sentiments a little bit. But I do like the boldness of this. You could have done the panel in coloured cardstock as well to fold it. And add the colour that way as well. So lots of things we can play about with. And again, the strip that's in the middle here could be as wide as the card or even skinnier, just to suit your project really. Okay, so there we go, there's a Z fold card inspired by Karen Farquhar's card for the Inspire Create challenge. Do click on the links, have a look at what else everybody else has made. If you wish to participate, do upload a photo and we can have a look at what you've created. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. Sorry it's been a bit of a long one, a bit of a clunky video, but hopefully you got something out of it. Thanks a lot everybody, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.